This is Noha Al-Hinnawi from the Zawya Podcast. Today we are speaking to Mr. Rami El-Dokany, Executive Chairman of the Egyptian Stock Exchange. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It has been quite tough for Egypt in recent years. Now we have the US Federal Reserve raising interest rates. We have inflation reaching unprecedented levels. So how has all that impacted EGX?
Inflation has pushed the Egyptian exchange to go up because it has affected many intervals in the market, and it has raised the awareness of a lot of investors and a lot of individuals to start putting their money into the Egyptian stock exchange as a hedge instrument for inflationary effects and FX fluctuations. So what we have been seeing, especially since Q4 of last year, that the volume that we've been seeing on daily volumes has increased tremendously. In 22, we have broken a lot of record numbers for EGX due to that.
How has the volatility of the forex since March 2022 impacted EGX?
What happened more interestingly is the foreign contribution to the market lately, because the devaluation has led the Egyptian shares to get more efficient and more cheaper by dollar terms. So this had a more attractive instrument for foreigners to come into the market.
Can you give us some numbers?
Definitely, and we have seen foreign institutions contributing in last year tremendously. We have seen a lot of inflows, but what we're seeing that the net selling position of foreign institutions has declined month over month since November to December till January. We have seen, I remember that we have seen net selling position of foreigners more than 3 billion Egyptian pounds in December. This number has declined to less than 300 million Egyptian pounds in January. The trend of net selling has declined tremendously during the last few weeks.
And what happened since the last round of devaluation that took place in January?
We have seen a lot of foreigners coming into fixed income markets and equity markets after that deval. And I still expect them to come in the market more aggressively after providing more clarity on the FX situation in general.
How do you think this clarity can be achieved?
No, the foreign investors are always fond of the Egyptian exchange, and they know our assets and know how fundamentally strong the underlying assets that are listed into the Egyptian market. It's more about the entire macroeconomic picture, and they need to have more comfort about liquidity of foreign currency in the market. And at the time of sell of their investment, they want to have a clear path to exit, and they can get their dollars back. When we start providing actual clarity on all of that and giving them all the comfort that they need, and the idea of there is available liquidity in the market that would allow them to exit at any point of time, they will not be stuck into the local market, this definitely will give them more comfort.
What kind of growth are you expecting in the secondary market, given all the challenges that Egypt is facing now?
And definitely we're seeing interesting growth in the market. I think we're still in a sideways zone. Technically, I think we are going to exceed the 18,000 points, and we have seen ourselves almost at the 18,000 points. So we're always seeing this correction happening every now and then. But the growth is definitely coming, how we see it. I think we still have cheaper assets in the market or stocks in the market with their PEs relative to their peer groups in neighboring countries. So I think that we're going to see a proper growth, provided that the clarity given to foreign investors will happen.
Considering all these talks about recession, is it possible to see more people showing interest in stock markets?
Two different factors. We cannot always put the global picture and we have to apply it on the Egyptian market or local markets at 100%. Every local market has its own fundamentals that is working. And we have seen a lot of neighboring countries lately going or declining in performance of their indices, what the EGX was going upwards for most of its time. So every local market has some of its unique fundamentals. Recession will definitely be a variable that's going to hit the market on the long term, on the performance of the companies itself, as long as they cannot pass this inflationary effect to the end customer. But what we've been seeing lately, at least for the last few months, and yet to see it in the audited financial statements that's going to be released by end of Q1, that we are seeing good performance on the company. They're yielding good dividend yields as we speak. So it's going to be a different story. But definitely recession will have an impact long term. However, I do not see it as an immediate impact on the Egyptian market yet.
So what are you doing to rev up EGX this year?
We're doing many things for EGX in 23, many things on the infrastructure level of EGX as availing new technologies and availing new instruments for the market versus being stronger on the road and on the business development side. So on the business development side and roadshows, we have conducted our first roadshow in many years last October, and actually this month we're also going on a roadshow next week to Saudi Arabia and Dubai, in order, along with HSBC and other investment banks, to help us meet a lot with the investors and explain the Egyptian story. On the infrastructure and what's happening domestically inside EGX, we are going to introduce derivatives in this market. That's going to be an interesting product for Egyptians and foreigners in the coming few months. We're also introducing carbon credit tradings on the Egyptian exchange, along with the FRA, the regulator, and our colleagues in the MCDR. We're reshuffling the short selling instrument that's going to be more interesting to a lot of investors in the coming period.
So what are your expectations for EGX in 2023? I mean, in terms of new IPOs.
We are seeing a lot of actual demand from the private sector specifically, and they started knocking our doors to come and ask, and we've been hunting some of the new names in the market, major business groups and new industries. For example, we're targeting renewable industries, for instance. We're talking with some tourism players in the market. We're looking more into technology players as well to get listed on EGX. We have seen the government lately going to announce a set of IPOs. We're waiting for that this week, hopefully. And I think by the time this podcast is being aired, I think the list will be available. We're quite interested to see all of these names, and I'd like to confirm that EGX is ready and welcoming all IPOs in time.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast.